Hello there. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm Colleen Klimczak. I'm an organizational and productivity coach and a certified professional organizer. I own Peace of Mind Professional Organizing, LLC. Since 2003, I've been helping my clients live better lives through organizing and organizational and productivity coaching. I support my clients and my community with coaching, in-person and virtual organizing, my weekly podcast called Your Organized Life with Colleen Klimczak, a free weekly virtual productivity session called Finish Line Friday, a free weekly email newsletter, and regular content on Facebook and Instagram. I also offer presentations and professional development to groups and companies. And coming soon, I will be launching a membership circle to support my community with even more coaching and productivity content. Want to finish strong this week? Join me for Finish Line Friday every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Central for a 2-hour productivity session. Drop me an email at colleen@peaceofmindpo.com to request my Zoom room link or follow the Zoom room link on my Instagram or Facebook pages. Welcome to Your Organized Life, episode 146, and welcome to the new studio. New temporary, right? We'll just see how this goes. Also, if you listen regularly, you may have noticed that I did not record or publish a podcast or newsletter last week. Sorry about that. I was called out of town on Sunday night for a family emergency and was unable to record in time for an episode to drop on Tuesday, as is my habit. And I was at my laptop on the kitchen counter working on today's article when I received the phone call that called me away. Most importantly, everybody is doing okay now, thankfully. And thank you for your grace and flexibility. So on to today's topic. So what's really funny is, to me, when I started writing this article, this topic, I had 3 half-written articles about this topic from the last 12 months. Like, what does that mean, right? Seriously, I just needed to put them all together, edit it a whole lot, and just hit publish. So today I want to talk about learning, lifelong learning, how we learn as adults. Yes, I think we should still be actively learning new things at every age. I have this quote in my head when I think about this topic, and I've heard it credited to many different people, so I don't know who to give credit to, but here it goes. You'll be the same person in 5 years as you are today, except for the people you meet and the books you read. When we don't learn new things or do new things, we don't grow. And if we stop growing, we may wither. So let's not wither. The good news is, as adults, we get to choose what we learn about mostly. Sure, you might be required to learn things for your job or the general education courses as you pursue higher education, but those are also choices. I remember when my now college senior son was finishing high school, and he was so excited because in college he would get to choose his path of study, and it could be something that he was truly passionate about. I mentioned that I recently worked with 2 different cohorts of adult learners, and I just started this week working with another cohort of adult learners. And when I teach adult learners, yes, we usually have a curriculum to cover, but the great thing about working with adults is the experience is also an invitation. It's an invitation for the adult learners to own the process for themselves. And so I'm inviting all of you and myself to do the same. Here's the deal. When a person has agency over themselves, their motivation increases, meaning when the choice is yours and mine about what we learn, we are more motivated to learn. So let's walk through the process together. And I truly mean together because this is a project I'm working on this month too. Before you think I'm only telling you what to do, let me be completely transparent. My nonfiction reading pile is overwhelming. I've added to the pile of nonfiction books, both hard copy and digital, regularly over the last year, but I have not made much progress consuming them. I have learned a lot in the last 12 months. I've gone to professional conferences. I have taken a 13-week course with my cohort of students that we learned together. I just finished a coaching class over the summer. I mean, I have learned a lot, but it is time to get moving on my reading pile. Now, also in transparency, I read daily, but it's usually fiction as I'm trying to drift off to sleep at night. So I read very quickly, which leads me to overestimate my capacity and time I have allotted for reading. I love books, and I never want to call books clutter, but if I'm never going to read a book, then why do I own the book, right? And here's the truth. My guilt around my growing reading pile has kept me from writing about it. Pretty sure that's why I started and didn't finish 3 times in the last year. So let's get started. First things first, let's embrace the idea that lifelong learning is awesome. It's awesome, and it's the goal of every educational institution I've ever been a part of, to cultivate a love of learning, to help students want to be lifelong learners. Learning is where growth comes from. Next up, identifying your needs and wants. As I've spoken and written about in the last few months, we need to recognize the gap between where we are today and where we want to be. And we can use goal setting and then identifying our learning needs to make that happen. We need to ask ourselves, what do I think I need to know? Are there things I need to learn about to get me from where I am today to where I want to be? Yep, those are our learning needs. There are thousands of examples of needs assessments per Google, but don't worry. We don't have to get complicated if we don't want to. Let's just start with, what do we want to learn more about? And a caveat, here is what I am not talking about today. This was from one of those half-written articles, and I thought it was funny. I know I mention I love my clients, and I do, but occasionally I still have to tell them no. In the last year, one organizing client suggested that I learn about antique furniture so that I could better help her sell her antique furniture. A different client wanted me to know the difference between silver and silver plating on a platter, but I do not. And a third assumed that I knew the difference between precious gems and costume jewelry because an organizer she used to work with knew the difference. Those are not my learning needs. Sorry. No. The best thing that I can do for all of these clients is to find them experts who already know these things. It might even be the same expert, but it's not me, right? We all have our strengths, but unfortunately for these client requests, antique furniture, silver, and jewelry are not mine. The point, however, is not to list all the things I don't know anything about, though that's pretty funny. The point is, I know a lot of things already, you know a lot of things, and anything else that you and I want to learn about should come from inside of us. Those come from my needs assessments, my wants, my goals, and those will help me form my own educational plan and yours. It could be, for example, money management or time management. Maybe it's how to thread a sewing machine or a fishing pole or how to change the oil in your car, right? I mean, all of these things could be things that you want to know more about. I am inviting you to own your own education process, your own journey, your own path. Identify what it is that you want to learn more about and what are your learning outcomes. For example, it could be, I want to become more informed about money and money management so I can buy a house or plan for retirement. And my friends, learning needs could be learning wants, right? So what are you interested in? What are you passionate about? And get specific. So I am both interested in, I need to know these things, but I'm also really invested and passionate. I want to learn, I want to do some things to be healthier. So instead of just saying I want to be healthier, I'm going to get specific and say I want to explore better nutrition for my age and gender and introduce more plant-based protein into my regular meals. Yes, this is actually one of my goals at present. Also, a want, not a need. In spring of 2020, when we all had more time, I learned how to play the ukulele. That was certainly a want and not a need. But you get my point. So we need to figure out what our learning needs and wants are for ourselves. After we've done that, it's time to craft our plan. Craft our curriculum, if you want to use the educational jargon, right? A plan means you can pace yourself. You have steps to take. We don't have to learn everything about everything all at once. So what I'm suggesting today is an educational plan to bring your own curriculum to life. Using the money management idea from earlier, we don't start our learning by making millions of dollars, even though that would be awesome. We also don't start by taking a huge risk and spending or investing all our money in the first idea that comes our way. We learn basic concepts first. We learn the vocabulary of money and spending and investing, if that's what we're interested in. We lay the foundation. We learn from experts. Using my ukulele example, if you wanted to learn ukulele too, you might start with basic music theory or with easy songs that you're already familiar with. We start out simple and we work our way up. And now the how. So after we know what we need and we've considered what we want to learn about, let's look at the different places we could go for that learning. When crafting your learning plan, consider your own learning styles. Do you like to listen to audiobooks? Do you like to listen to or watch YouTube videos? Do you like classes? Do you like webinars? I mean, truly, the options are endless. So what we need to do is pair our learning needs and interests with opportunities that we may already have, or maybe we need to look a little farther and think about where else we can look and learn. There is so much information available to us. There has never in the history of the world been as much information readily available to us at our fingertips than there is right now. And I shouldn't have to say this, but vet your sources. Be a critical thinker. We need to participate in learning from trusted sources. In public education, we teach our children to be critical thinkers. Check your sources. Does it sound logical? Can we find the same information from more than one trusted source? Is the data research-based, etc.? Yes, friends, check your facts. Okay, back to sources for learning. My favorite, your local library. And it's free. Free, free, free. We like free. I will try to suggest resources that are both free and maybe low cost, and also ones that might cost you some money. But yeah, starting with your local library, it's free. You could also consider looking at your local community colleges for both free and low cost. A lot of community colleges, at least two that I'm affiliated with, have community education programs for people who aren't seeking degrees and just want to learn more about various topics. There's other local organizations that you could consider. For example, my local school district offers free adult education classes, and our local rec department has dozens of offerings every month. You could also consider online webinars, free or for a fee. I'm going to put in 2 cents here about YouTube. I love YouTube. I mean, come on. You can learn about anything on YouTube. It's amazing. And you can listen to the videos or you can watch them. Another source you might not have considered is books you already own. Reminding myself here and all of you, this article started out because of my burgeoning reading pile. One of my favorite sources for learning are books, and I'm starting with the ones I already have. Now, this next tip was inspired by a student in one of my career readiness programs. We talk about finding the person or people that are doing what we want to do and then asking them for suggestion. Or if they're famous, reading up about them or following them. One of my students in a recent class wants to be a jack of all trades. Those were his words. And he actually likes to watch the HGTV shows about renovations. And that can be learning too, if that's about a topic that you want to know more about. We can also use social media for good. And what I mean by that is to subscribe and follow thought leaders. And no, I did not say influencers. I said thought leaders. For example, just yesterday, I subscribed to a newsletter from the LazyGeniusCollective.com because I've started to listen to her podcasts, and I think she's got a lot of really good things to say. After you've explored some of those easy and obvious sources, you can also consider professional organizations that you may already be a part of. For example, I am a member of NAPO, which is the National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals, and I also am a member of 2 of the local NAPO chapters. And each of those groups have meetings every month with continuing education factored into the meeting. And then, of course, you can do, professional or personal development conferences or things like that. So truly, we started out with easy and obvious and kind of worked our way up, but there are so many opportunities for us to learn about stuff that we might be interested in. And finally, after we figured out that we want to learn, what we want to learn, and maybe how we want to learn, we need to consider the where and the when. We really need to schedule the time, like for real. And this, personally, is where I drop the ball. There are dozens of areas in my life and times of day and types of tasks, places in my life where I have daily, consistent habits to complete necessary things. I say that out loud because I am completely capable of consuming my reading pile in a consistent way, but I have yet to schedule daily, consistent time to catch up on my nonfiction. So here's the good news. I have revamped my home office and I made sure to add a lovely chair, a table, and a reading lamp. And just today, in a meeting this morning, I stated that I want to take back my mornings. Meaning, after running ragged for the last month or so, my plan is to spend at least 20 minutes a morning on nonfiction reading. That doesn't feel like a lot. It certainly doesn't feel like enough. But it certainly is more than I have been doing up to this point. 20 minutes a morning, even if I, get it 6 out of 7 mornings, that is 2 more hours a week spent on my nonfiction reading pile than I am spending now. So, what's it going to be, my friends? What do you want to learn more about? Please recognize that nothing is holding you back but you, and maybe I'm just talking to myself here. Identify your needs and wants, craft your plan, find your resources, and then make time and space for learning and for yourself. Support around getting things done, around professional and personal development, about being what you want to be is what productivity coaching is all about. If it's time to invest in yourself and explore coaching for organizing and productivity, I would love to hear from you. Drop me a line via email at colleen@peaceofmindpo.com or message me through my social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you next week.